Figure it out.
Hello, this is Adam Koralik with Figure It Out Productions. The following video is part of our Quick Shoot series. Hey guys, welcome to PlayLoad. This is all my video game pickups for October 2013. And as always, we'll start off with something you've seen before. This is probably the only thing you'll have seen before. I picked up an Atari 7800. As some of you guys know, I made a video in which I cleaned and restored this thing, got it all nice and shiny, or as shiny as it can get, I guess. And totally works and everything. This is Atari's third console, not to be confused with the Atari 2600, which is what most people think of when they think of the word Atari. Though it is 2600 backwards compatible, which is one of its best features because the Atari 7800 has a very small library. Atari 7800 is it's comparable to like the NES or the Master System, just not quite as powerful, really. So it's not a bad console by any means. I do enjoy it, but I do wish its 7800 library had been better. And of course, the biggest flaw is that it only used RF. If this thing had native composite out, which I know I usually rip on composite because I don't like it, but in 1983, 1984, 1985, etc., composite would have been more than you could have possibly expected. So would have been nice if it had it. Alas, it does not, because 2600 games through composite would have been nice. Anyway, it came with Pole Position 2, which is the only 7800 game I've got. I showed that briefly in the video. I believe this is the most common game on the console, and it's just a racing game. So, at least I have one. I will kind of keep an eye out for more 7800 games, but frankly, they don't exactly show up particularly often. But it did come with a couple of 2600 games, which is nice. It came with Missile Command, Video Pinball. Missile Command, I think you guys kind of all know what Missile Command is. Video Pinball, I guess the title kind of says everything. It's basically pinball on the Atari 2600, essentially. So, imagine that. Super Breakout, which is actually a pretty fun game. It's kind of like Pong a little bit, except the other side is a big wall, and you have to like bust the wall. I don't know. It's better than it sounds. But you have to use special paddle controllers. And Yar's Revenge, which I'm drawing a complete blank on, but I know that Mark from Classic Game Room actually really likes this game, so it's cool to have it. I also got a couple of N64 games just out and about. You know, nothing really particularly exciting. 1080 Snowboarding, a surprisingly fun game for a snowboarding game, and Top Gear Racing, Top Gear Rally, sorry. Also, I'm not really too big into racing games, but these were both really, really cheap. You know, these were on clearance at a bookstore of all places. Actually, a couple of the items I got were from bookstores, so keep that in mind. So yeah, I think these were on clearance for like $1 each. So I was like, what the hell? I'll just get those. They also had these, Anticipation for the NES. This was on clearance as well. This is kind of like it's like a video board game. I mean, it literally says that right there. I believe it requires like a special pad controller thing, which I don't actually have, so it's not particularly useful, but, you know, it's an NES game that I didn't have. It was really cheap, and it's not a sports game, so what the hell. This was the big catch of them all. Kirby Superstar, 8 games in 1, because all of these were on clearance. They just had them all generically labeled Nintendo stuff, you know, so this was really the real winner there, because this is usually like a $40 game, and I got this for $1 as well, so that was awesome. It's just a collection of a couple of Kirby games, and it's got some like party games on it and stuff, so there you go. Anarchy Reigns for the Xbox 360. I only got this really because I like to get as much stuff that Sega has put out for these consoles as possible, although to be perfectly honest, I haven't really had the time to play this at all. I work way too much, and I don't actually get to play much of anything these days, except for what I have to play for work purposes. So, I know, first world problems. But, yeah, I look forward to playing basically everything Sega put out eventually, even if they're not particularly well received, although I don't really know how this game was received. So, yeah, I know, I wish I could give you more of a description, too. Kingdom Under Fire, The Crusaders. Microsoft made a big deal about this game a while back, and then I think this series just kind of fell on its face, and I haven't really heard anything about it since. Maybe I'm completely wrong, but I honestly don't remember any other chapters of this series. Again, this was a clearance item at that same bookstore. It was only $1 as well. That's a good tip for all of you people out there who want cheap games. Bookstores, stores like that, places that aren't really supposed to have video games, that don't know what they're worth, thrift stores and so on. You can often find some really cool stuff at those places for not much money because it's not, you know, what they pay any attention to. So, yeah, I think you know what I'm saying. Guilty Gear X2. This is a fighting game made by Sammy. This is the company that eventually kind of forced a buyout with Sega, which is largely why Sega is what they are now, a publisher. That's not quite complete history, but you know what I'm saying. This game is not bad. I like fighting games. I'm just not very good at them. And so this one was good to get. This was not exactly a clearance title, but it wasn't particularly expensive either. I think I paid like $4.99 for this. If this had been made now, I'm pretty sure it would have had the Sega logo on it, just because this is right before I think Sammy and Sega teamed up. So, yeah, I know. That's awesome, isn't it? The actual game, I mean, if you like the Guilty Gear games, because there's actually a couple of, there's Guilty Gear X on the Dreamcast, and there's a few other in the series, but yeah, I like the Guilty Gear games, but they never got quite as much recognition as, obviously, other bigger series like Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat and so on, but yeah, for 2D stuff, it's not bad at all. Kind of like King of Fighters. Yeah, just, I don't know, just it's kind of like King of Fighters. That's the best way I can put it, really. Wario World for the Nintendo GameCube. It is very rare that I pick up a GameCube game because there's not a whole lot of titles on the GameCube, as I think a lot of you know, and a lot of them are multi-plat. The first-party stuff is out there, and it's kind of cool, and this is one such example, although I really don't... See, I didn't get enough time to play this. It looks like a platformer with Wario. And of course it's progressive scan compatible, which is awesome because I actually own component cables for the GameCube. And it looks really neat. Clean, I should say. It cleans up well on an HD TV. It's compatible with the WarioWare Game Boy Advance game if you have the link cable, although I do not own that game. That is a feature I never really used, the Game Boy Advance connection feature. That's a very underrated feature, I think. But, hey, what can I say? I never actually used it either. So, I avoided this game for a long time because, based on the cover, I just thought it was like a puzzle game. But when I played it for a little bit, I could tell it was actually some sort of action-adventure game, which, you know, a platformer of sorts. But then again, I only played for a few minutes. I didn't have a whole lot of time to get into it. So I'm looking forward to eventually getting around to playing that. But I'm sure a lot of you out there have actually played it. So, you know, tell me, what do you think of it? Superman Shadow of Apocalypse for the PlayStation 2. This is kind of what I think, and this is going to sound retarded, and I understand this up front. I think this is basically what they wanted Superman 64 to be. Because it's the same universe of characters, the same Superman animated series style and everything, but kind of done right, which is a weird thing to say because the game's not exactly great. It goes from being like the worst game of all time to mediocrity. That's kind of the best way to put it. Superman games in general, I love Superman. Okay, dude, I love Superman. I think he's an incredibly underrated character, which is weird to say because he's one of the most popular characters of all time. But I feel like most people don't really understand that character as well as they should. They always just assume, oh, he's the guy who can fly and he's invincible. I hate him because he's lame. He's a much deeper character, but he's never really worked in video games because he needs a weakness, obviously, and video games, if you make the character invincible up front, there's not really much of a game with that. I think the one game that actually did it right was Superman Returns, of all things, for the Xbox 360. I believe that was also on the original Xbox. Might have been on the PS3, I don't really remember. That game actually did it really well. Superman himself couldn't really be injured, but the city could be, and they used that as your health bar, and if you failed, then essentially the level will just reload. Make sense? But that's obviously not this game. This game uses a standard health system, and like I said, I don't really think that works. Now here's a random pickup. I picked up something for the Dreamcast. Now, you guys probably saw a while ago, I did a Dreamcast collection tour, showed off all the games I've got, which is all of them. This is not a game. This is an application, Microsoft Web TV, if you guys remember that. In Japan, they actually launched this for the Dreamcast, briefly. And this is all it really has no purpose now. But you could connect online. I believe you could just kind of use the internet through your TV. What a crazy idea. I think it's 56K only. I don't think it supports broadband. Again, nothing I'm going to practically use, or I don't even know if I could use it. But yeah, it's just neat to have. And usually this disc is really expensive. It usually goes for about like $80, $90. And I found a guy selling it for like $5. You know, I think he wasn't quite sure what it was. Although I did have to get it without the spine card, which, whatever. For that big of a discount, I'll take it. So yeah, that's that. A new game. This just came out. I have literally only played this for a few minutes. I was playing it and then I stopped and made this video. Sonic Lost World. This game is apparently being panned. I haven't, like I said, I haven't played enough. I played like the first 2 levels. I played the opening level, and then I played this level that's kind of in the Knights universe, you know, Knights into Dreams. I actually kind of liked this game so far. I thought it was pretty cool. A lot of people seem to hate it, but I don't know why. Maybe if I continue to play it, I'll discover that. Yeah, I mean, it's good to finally get another Wii U game. I mean, I've had the thing for a year now, and this is only the 5th game I've gotten for it. And I'm glad that at least finally some third-party titles are getting out there, because Nintendo, man, you guys really need more third-party titles for this console. Reggie, dude, you got to be begging people to make you games. But yeah, so this game was actually free for me, which was pretty awesome. The way that worked is this is going to sound stupid and weird, but I have a Droid. My phone is a Droid, which is a Verizon network service. For whatever reason, Verizon sent me a $50 like prepaid like credit card, and this game was $49.95 on Amazon, and I simply just took it and pre-ordered it with that card. So yeah, the game was completely free, and I still don't really know why Verizon did that, but thank you, Verizon, for buying me a copy of Sonic Lost World. Now, on to the final group of items here. This is a game called Powermonger for the Sega CD. Now, all the games I'm about to show you were in a lot together, and they were just labeled Sega CD games, which of course means it's by someone who doesn't know what the hell they're talking about, and you'll see why very quickly. But yeah, Powermonger, and then you've got NASCAR 98 for the Sega Saturn. So instantly you can see why this person doesn't quite know what they're saying when they say Sega CD games, which is fine. Because then you also end up with games like Mr. Bones, which is a pretty cool game on the console. It's like an action adventure. Well, it's like a music game, but it's like a side-scrolling action music game. You know, it's a weird game. Of course, and this is racing, and I think this was like an RTS type of thing. Yeah, like a real-time strategy type of deal. And then I got True Pinball, which is pinball, and one of the most common games of all time for the Sega Saturn, Virtua Fighter 2, but in the long box as opposed to that little stupid cardboard thing. Now, of course, I already own this game because I think everyone with a Saturn does, because it comes in that little cardboard thing with it. But having the long box version is nice because it'll look good on the shelf. Now, there is one other game, which I will show you in a moment here. Okay? Now, this whole lot, I need you to understand, this was a buy it now for like 20 bucks. Okay? Just make sure you understand that, especially you Sega Saturn fans. You already know, especially with Mr. Bones in there, that that's a good deal. But I'm going to show you why you're going to hate me. Absolutely hate me. Assuming you don't already hate me. You will really hate me when you find out what the final game in this lot and the primary reason why I bought it was. Oh yes. Magic Knight Ray Earth. Complete, boxed, and in amazing shape. This is the final North American Sega Saturn game. Go look it up right now. This game usually goes anywhere between like $140 to $200 and like about $200. So already you can see why that would be great. Now I am not an action RPG type of guy. I actually don't really like turn-based type of RPGs. But I am doing my best to now start collecting more of the Sega Saturn titles. So when you knock off one like this, by Working Designs, one of the most expensive games out there, for virtually nothing, then that is a good day. So yeah, obviously I am not qualified to review this game whatsoever. because I'm just not good with action RPGs. But yeah, plenty of people out there I know you're already going to be envious, and I apologize for that, but you can't exactly blame me for passing up on a deal like that. But anyway, so that's it, guys. That's my pickups for October 2013. And stick around next month because, well, let's just put it this way. This console will not be the only one. Well, you wouldn't see this console at all. But you will see more than one console in that video. Oh, yes. Oh, and there is actually one other thing. You guys did see this briefly. A couple people asked, so I'm just going to show you. This is where my Ryo Hazuki statues went. Thanks for watching, guys.